Today on the PitchBook Podcast, we have a very special guest coach, author of 3 books, Jeremy Zahn. Batter up! All right, welcome.
Hey, thank
Zach, you got to tell us how you met Jeremy and how he's on the show.
All right. Well, so we have an Instagram page, the PitchBook Podcast, for those that don't know. Follow us on or it's not Facebook, it's Instagram, excuse me. And I think it was last week I was going through and you'll see like followers. So I'll go through each follower of the page and I see Jeremy's on like this cool hair. And sometimes people that follow the page are not, let's just say, they're not the people that you want following your page. Sometimes I have to block people. So I click on it
Or
and
bots. People
I
or
go
bots.
look at
We
his,
don't know what you're blocking. It's fine.
yeah, I go look at his profile and it's like author, motivational speaker. I'm like, who's this guy? And so I just sent I always shoot my shot. I'm like, hey, Jeremy, if you ever want to come on the podcast, we'd love to have you. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So I'll let you take it from there, Matt.
Yeah,
So I reach out to
you
Matt. I
so
have
Zach texts me and says, "Hey, we got an author that's gonna guest on the show." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Who is it?" It's Jeremy Zahn, and I was like, "Are you serious?" And you're like, and Zach's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm serious. This is all via text."
But when you
And
said, "Are you serious?" I took that like, "Uh-oh. I've kind of committed to have
yeah,
this guy on."
yeah, like he's committed. It's already scheduled. And
Is
I
this a
said, "Are
bad
you
thing?
serious? Like, are you joking?" And he's like, "No." And I said, I can't remember what I said. I said, "Do I think I said, do you know I know him?" Or did he say he knows me? I'm like, "How did you find him?" Or whatever. And you told me the story, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, Jeremy's one of my old buddies from college. Like we were in the same fraternity. Like I've known him for 30 years, 20. How long's it been? What's
97.
20, at least 25, yeah, 25, 26 years. So longer than I've known my wife, let's put it that way. Right. So
A long
it was
time.
just funny that Zach was like thinking, "Oh, cool, we got this we have." Well, not, it is cool that he's an author and that he's on the show. It's just funny that I happen to know him very well, and we haven't talked for a long time though, because of course that's just how life is. But I got to say, I do have a question that I don't know the answer to yet. How did you find the podcast, and how did you know I was on it? I mean, what was the scoop here, Jeremy?
Yeah, so honestly, I was cruising through, I was just scrolling through, Instagram, checking things out, and I think it was one of those sections that come up that shows other pages that
Hmm.
you might be interested in.
Oh,
And so I was just checking them out, and then I saw this, Pitch Book podcast, and I'm looking at it, it says Zach and Matt, and I look at it. Well, I noticed that you were there, that you were the Matt. And I was like, dude, it's Liggett. I was like, I'm gonna reach out.
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
And so honestly, I was like reaching out. I figured I was reaching out to you, and then I heard back from Zach, and then I never talked to you. I'm like, oh, okay, well, talking to Zach.
Well, the funny thing is, then I went to text you, and I'm like, I don't have his number anymore. I don't know what happened. So I had it from you, and I meant to text you, and I haven't. So anyway, now I will. So funny. I'm really glad to reconnect. It's been a long time, so I hope
Yeah,
that
for
you're
sure,
doing
man.
well, and we're excited to have you on. You were people weren't here for this, but you were surprised to know that I actually have read one of your books. We're gonna get into that in just a second, but first thing we got to do, obviously, is share some embarrassing stories from our past that are, podcast worthy, of course. So, again, Jeremy and I were in a fraternity. It's not as crazy as you think, probably. It was up at Weber State, and we had a great time, a lot of fun, a lot of good memories. What is one of your memories about me?
So family friendly memory of Matt. And
there's like one memory that's family friendly of
no,
Matt.
this is just a good one, just because it's gonna it'll make
I
Matt
have no
chuckle.
idea what you're gonna say, and I don't,
And
I truly don't know what you're gonna say. So,
so let's take a trip back to the Ogden City Mall.
okay,
Do you remember where you used to work?
at the Tiffin Room.
At the Tiffin Room.
That's correct. This is
So
a restaurant for old people. For those that don't know, the Tiffin Room. It's ECMI.
so my
And I
memory
was a,
is the
I was
good
a
times.
waiter. I was a waiter
Yep.
there. Okay.
So that's mainly the game. The thing is that we used to come and visit you at the Tiffin Room and have lunch or dinner or whatnot, and you always hooked us up with like senior citizen prices.
Yeah, exactly.
for our meals,
Good discounts.
and you
Yeah,
took care of us.
for fraternity discounts. And
Yeah.
you did the same for us at Jeremiah's when you were a waiter at
Oh,
Jeremiah's. Remember that?
shh, don't say that.
Oh, why?
Yes.
We didn't get in trouble? Well, the
I know,
tipping
no, I'm
room's
teasing.
yeah, the tipping
I'm
room's not
teasing.
around anymore, so we can't really get in trouble. But
Yeah, Jeremiah is still around.
they are. They are. I actually drove
But
by
we're
the other
good.
day.
We're good. It's been a long time since I worked there as well.
Statute of limitations on extra discounts for friends, right?
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure. Yeah. Okay, funny. All right, cool. The one thing I will tell you guys that you were not going to know about Jeremy, and I don't know if you still do it, but he is very avid Halloween fan
Oh,
and would often have the coolest, craziest costumes and scare everyone and actually like kind of work like a second job at some of the local haunts here during the Thanksgiving or Halloween time. Um, and it was pretty funny. I don't know. I don't know. Do you still do that kind of stuff or not really?
so let me fill you in on the world of Halloween and Jeremy Zong.
Okay.
So I am approximately 8 years removed from working at full-time haunted houses. So
Okay.
I've worked haunted houses since I was 14 years old
Really?
Wow.
until 8 years ago.
Wow.
And when I was the last, 10 years of working haunted houses, actually was running them. I was
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
makeup, I was the acting and makeup director. So
Yeah.
I would pretty much hiring and firing and directing all the actors that came in at the haunted houses I was
Yeah.
working
Some
at. Well,
unbelievable costumes that I remember. And what's the craziest thing that you can remember scaring someone? Like what's the craziest reaction you've had scaring someone if you can share here?
well, any good scare, the main thing you're going for is to try to make someone wet themselves. And I've done that quite a few times in the haunted houses.
It's
Um, but I'm gonna tell you this much. I'm still doing this, Matt, but I'm doing it in a different way.
uh-oh.
I'm actually have a side hustle where you can hire me to come do this
Oh, to come scare
now,
people randomly?
or show up for promotions, photo shoots,
Okay, okay. So
whatever you want.
not that doesn't necessarily have to be creepy or scary,
No,
surprising
but
to somebody.
I've upped my game. You thought I had good costumes then. I've
Oh
got better
yeah.
costumes now. My costumes
Okay.
now cost thousands of dollars.
I'm excited to hear the promotion about this side hustle.
Will you come get my kids off their bus when they get home from school? Can
I
we just
so
hire
will.
you?
I have a brand new costumes act that you will love. It is appropriate for right now.
Like jump out of the bush.
I have Krampus. I just got Krampus, and I
Nice.
have a Grim Reaper that I convert to the Ghost of Christmas Future.
That is
Awesome.
cool. That is
Yeah.
cool.
Praise the
There's
So
like
Lord.
yeah.
layers to this man.
Jeremy he's a Renaissance man for sure. Like I don't know if you know this, he's an excellent artist as well. You still doing graphic design and that stuff. He's also a volunteer firefighter. I don't know if you still do that, but he's like I said, he's done everything and very talented guy.
Oh, yeah,
So
I've got a lot of different things I've done over the
he's
years.
going on.
So
All right.
I am actually retired from the fire department.
Okay.
I did retire. I'm no longer at the haunted houses, obviously, but I do design and decorate my own yard display we put up.
Awesome.
We actually just won the contest for Farmington City this year.
No surprise.
Um,
Wow.
and then so I do have my own business. That's a sign and graphics business that
Yeah,
me and my wife do on the side of my full-time job. I am still in the sign world. I do electric signs, specializing in the LED video signs. So
cool.
Oh,
that's my
cool.
full-time. And then obviously my wife's side thing was Stick It. And then my little thing within Stick It is the Reaper's Touch, and that's where you can hire me as a character to
Awesome.
show up and do different promotions and scarings and pranks and photo shoots or whatever you want.
Awesome.
So yeah, but I've done all kinds of stuff like Matt was saying over the years.
I remember your old creepy house you used to live in up near Willard Bay.
Oh,
That
that you
I'm
couldn't
sorry. I know
stay
this
at
is a
night
memory
at.
lane. This is a memory lane. I'm sorry, guys,
No,
but
this is the
this is
memory
the
we should
creepiest
have
house you'll
shared.
see. This is the creepiest house you'll ever like. It was built in what I don't know, 1910 or something. Got all these creepy trees around there, and then you got
What an
Jeremy living
orchard.
there, who's dressed in who knows what when you come to his house. So it's pretty amazing.
Dude, we played Murder in the Dark in that house. Remember that?
Yeah, we've had a
The,
lot of
the
good times there.
So the memory we should have shared about you is that you came to stay with me overnight there, and
Oh
you were up in
no.
the upstairs room, and you
Uh-huh.
couldn't stay there because You were so scared. You came
I,
down and stayed with me in my
that's
room.
right. I did.
You came and crawled
Dude,
in bed with
I'm a
me.
wuss. I don't like getting scared. My kids love horror movies, and I can't stand them. They're always taking me to them. So it's funny. We're kind of opposites on that thing.
That was
All
great.
right. So forget all that stuff. Let's get to you coaching us here. You have written 3 books. I have read Treat Her Right, which is your first book, and then I just when you popped on, I didn't realize you had a couple others. So tell us. Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about what made you want to write these books. Maybe give us a brief description on the 3, and then what made you want to write these, and we'll kind of get in from there.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I was never on the path of being an author or doing anything. And always kind of, once in a while you have those thoughts and lingerings that, oh, this might be something kind of cool to do. But the funny thing is that the thoughts I had about writing a book is about my last book, not my first 2.
Okay.
But excuse me, what brought me along to writing my first 2 books was I was kind of explaining this to Zach a little bit before we got on, was there was people that were talking to my wife, be that's friends, family, coworkers, and whatnot, and they were basically talking about their relationships, and they were comparing their relationships to my wife's relationships with me, and they were like, "Man, I wish my husband was more like your husband," or "I wish my boyfriend would do the things your husband does," and they're just on and on about this, and I'm like, well, "What am I doing that's so different?" And this is after my wife is talking to me. And she's like, "Dude, you're a unicorn. You're like so different from everybody else." And when I'm like, "Why? What am I doing?" you know and I had gone to school and whatnot, and part of my classes I took relationship classes and dating classes and different things. Like I still have a textbook here from college called Human Intimacy, and it's all about basically that relationships and living and creating a healthy, successful marriage. And so I used to do things, honestly, I was all about a failed marriage because I come from a history of failed marriages in my family. And so that was the catalyst. I'm like, I want to do everything I can to be the best, learn the most I can, and make the right decisions in my relationship. So I used to work at Smith's grocery store stocking shelves at night. And we'd go on lunch break, and I'm over there and I'm grabbing a Cosmopolitan magazine and I'm reading through it and doing the little surveys they have and checking things out. And so I'm doing that month after month when I got a new issue. And then I was going to classes. I go in the institute classes and the dating and courtship stuff. And I went to the university classes and learning about marriage and healthy relationships and being successful. And so I was doing all this to obtain this information. And even there was a book I saw years and years and years ago, and it was being promoted on the Arsenio Hall show by the author. And this is, crazy book, but it was called How to, what was it? Dang it. Something about how to make a woman something and have her craving for more or something like that. I can't remember what the name of it was. And so
I'm
I actually,
Googling it. I'm Googling it. Go ahead.
yeah, no, do it. I used to know that right off the top of my head, and I can't remember it. It's actually written in my book. I wrote it in my book. But so I actually went to like the bookstore in the mall and I found this book and I sat down on the ground. I'm starting reading this book. And this is in high school. So I'm reading this book. What I need to do. And, this lady's telling me how to treat women better and what they like and what they don't like. And so I'm doing this. Anyways, getting all this knowledge, having this information from my wife, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll sit down and just write a book about the things I know, the things I've learned, and the things I've experienced in my life. And I'll just share that with the guys out there and just see if I can help them out to get back on the path of having a healthy, happy, healthy relationship. Because obviously something's going on out there that I don't know what's going on, that I'm doing something different. And that's kind of how the beginning of writing a book came about, was just the feedback my wife was getting and how there's differences between all the guys out there and what they're doing, what they're not doing.
Well, luckily, Zach and I are also perfect husbands, and so we don't really need to hear this. But I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is kind of the one thing that you found? I don't know. What would be the first recommendation that you might give, or something very basic that you think someone could do, a husband or boyfriend or whatever, can do to kind of just begin this process?
Everything in all of my books, even including my last book, is about doing the little things. Whatever the little things are in your life, that's what you have to do, because the little things are the things that's the glue that holds everything else together.
Hmm.
If you're not doing the little things, everything's falling apart.
Interesting.
And that's like the number one thing I would tell people. And those little things can be the same or different from relationship to relationship, depending on what the needs and wants are with that person.
So would it be like taking out the trash? Is
Of
that
course.
what you would consider a little thing, or
Yeah.
does it vary
That
woman to woman?
it there's probably a baseline of things to do, but yes, woman from woman to woman is going to be different because you're going to have your different women. You're going to have your very independent women. You're going to have your codependent women. You're going to have people that are, um, a mix of both. And so it totally just depends upon your relationship. But there is a baseline of just doing the little things, taking care of your hygiene, taking care of your clothes, taking care of the trash, helping with the chores around the house, helping with the kids, acknowledging her, paying attention to her, listening to her. There's just a standard of things you should be doing just to acknowledge someone's existence in your life.
Yeah.
You know, there's the roles don't exist anymore, and they never should have existed. A woman's not about doing everything around the house, and the man's doing everything outside or at work. That is such bullcrap. That it should always be you both share. You share responsibilities in everything. You both go to work. You both take care of the kids. You both take care of the house. You both take care of the yard. I mean, matter of fact, a few years ago, my wife made a decision. She's like, you know what? I'm going to start doing all the yard work during the week while you're working so we can have free time together on the weekend because I generally would come home on the weekend and I'm just busy doing the yard work. Well,
Yeah.
now she's doing it during the week so we can have time together. I
I
mean,
love
So
that.
yeah, that's actually a really, really smart answer. I tell let's back up 1 second and just tell us. So the first book is Treat Her Right. Second book is also along those in the same vein, right? What's that one
yeah,
called?
so it's a follow-up to Treat Her Right. It's called
Okay,
She's a Part of Me.
okay.
And so what I tell people is the first book, we're telling you how to treat a woman right. And the second book, we're telling you why you treat a
Hmm.
woman right.
Interesting. Okay, I have not read that one yet, but I will. Now, and then the third one is a little different, and I don't necessarily want to get off the topic, but I just want to mention what it's about. So the name, tell us about that book. It's more, I would say maybe a motivational type of book, or am I wrong on that?
Yes, I mean, because I figure they're all kind of motivational and
Sure, sure. But I mean,
they're all
what?
self-help books. But yeah,
Tell me about this third book.
the third book is What's Your Story? And the thing is, everyone has a story. I don't care what your background is, where you come from, anything. Everyone has a story. And within that story, there's a thread that goes along with everyone's story in their life. And so what I do in my book is to help the readers relate to me or understand or kind of fall in line with what I'm trying to share with them is I basically give a highly abbreviated life story of my life. And I mix things along the way, just experiences, um, things that happen during my life that everyone can kind of relate to. That's from my generation, or if not, or those who overlap my generation. Excuse me. And then I also then towards the later part of the book, I then get into no longer talking about my life story, but then I start talking about different things of what we need to do to be the authors of our story. And we're in charge of writing our story and not allowing outside forces dictate how we write our story or how our story is finished. Um,
So
because
you meant, oh, go ahead.
no, you're fine.
I was going to say, what, it sounds like that was the first book you thought about writing. What, I guess why that topic? What was important to you to kind of get out of that, to say in that book?
So, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, and I've seen this a lot. I still see it, and we see it a lot on social media quite a bit, is how much personal garbage do you see that gets thrown up on social media, be that it's Instagram,
Tons. Oh
social
yeah.
media, Facebook or whatever it is that some are like, and people are like, oh, this is going on. My life has just fallen apart. This tragic thing happened. Pray for me for this. Pray for that person for this, or whatever, whatever you see, and they're just like dumping all this stuff, and or they're complaining, oh, I hate my job, I hate my life, I hate where I live, I hate these people, blah blah blah, blah. And they're just barfing on you this garbage, and you're like, okay, if you don't like it, change your
Change it.
situation,
Yeah.
Mhm.
change your job, change your environment, change your house, change whatever it is that you don't like. I mean, stop it. And so, getting back to what you're asking, So the bottom line premise of the book is that we are in control of writing our own story, and it's the choices that we make dictates that. Our past doesn't define who we are. It affects us, but it doesn't define who we are. So stop blaming everything that happened in your past. Stop blaming your childhood. Stop blaming your parents. Stop blaming your friends or your teachers or whatever what affected you in your past. Yes, that happened, but that not doesn't make you who you are. It doesn't make you make the decisions that you're making today. So we are responsible and accountable for the choices we make. Like I'm married, my wife doesn't, she doesn't dictate my choices. I do. And I don't dictate my wife's choices. I don't dictate my boss's choices. I don't dictate my sister's choices. I don't dictate my friend's choices. Yes, we can have influence. We can have input, and it makes you think and affect you. But overall, you're the one that's accountable for the choices you make. So if you want to have a crappy ending to your life story, that's going to be on you. If you want to have a happy ending to your life story, that's on you. Yes, there's outside forces and things in this world that affect us in a way that we can't control, that we have no control of, but we have to make the best of the situation we're in. And if that situation sucks and you don't like it, you can change it.
Zach, what I want to let you. I feel like I'm taking all the questions. Do you have some questions you want to ask? I
I
got
was
one, but
just
I want
no,
to give you a chance.
you hit like a really important point there. So I follow our city Facebook page more because it's comedy. The things that people post are wild. I mean, I'll just go there any given day and you'll see things like like the other day somebody posted, "Does anyone have any advice on how to have a cheap divorce?" And I'm thinking, wow, like why would you post this? Now they can post anonymously, but it's that constant, like you said, Jeremy, that kind of constant garbage, just throwing it out. And I get the sense that some people are non-player characters in their own lives. Like they're just kind of flowing through life, reactionary, and just responding to whatever situation comes at them and never really taking ownership with is what I just got out of what you just said. Take
But you
ownership of
said it
your
though. You
job.
said they're reactive and not proactive. They
Yes.
don't take a stance to change anything.
So my question for you is, and I think there's like in my own life when I was younger, I was probably very reactive. I think our education system in many ways teaches us to be reactive. What what are the things or the elements that help people to make that mind shift to I own this issue, I own this problem? And I'll let you think about that question for a second. I have a friend. He is a manager of, I can't say the company that he works for, but they build these outdoor buildings like at people's houses and occasionally he'll have a customer call him and complain about whatever, this broke or a tree fell on it. And he says, I get excited when people complain because they're teaching me how to make my product better. And he's telling me this the other day. And I said, I love that mindset, kind of taking the garbage that otherwise it'd be easy to complain about that. Like, oh, another customer complaint. But he says, he goes to his clients and says, thank you for that information. That helps me to make our product better. And because you're helping me, I want to give you this. He totally turns it around. And it's
Mhm.
that kind of mind shift in life that I feel like we need to make. But how do you best help people to have that mind shift?
The problem is this, though, Zach. This is how I see it. It's like when you see relationships, and especially women, and they see a guy and they're like, oh, I love him. He's so great. He's so cute. Blah, 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 blah. But he has this red flag and he has this red flag. I'm going to change him. I can fix him. You know, there's that mentality. But the problem is she can't do anything. He has to be the one who wants to do it. And so the problem is that you have to create your own mindset that you want to change things. So doesn't matter what we do in life. Doesn't matter if you're an alcoholic. You're a drug addict. You're addicted to soda. You're addicted to whatever is going on. You're overweight. You need to exercise better. You need to change your diet because your doctor told you to, because you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, whatever it is. All these people, your doctor can talk to you, your spouse can talk to you, your parents can talk to you, your religious leader can talk to you. It doesn't do any good unless you make the decision to change your thought process and the way you're going to do things in your life. It's only you. Only you can change. No one else can do it for you. So that's the problem with how I look at things with the question you're asking, is that there's nothing that anybody can do to tell you how to do it. You have to create it within yourself. And it's just like getting help with these issues. Like, can you do it on your own? Do you need to seek professional help? Do you need to go to rehab in order to do that? Whatever the problem is, to
Yeah.
make those changes in your life, you have to find the means in which you can do it yourself or find help from someone else to make those changes.
I love
Okay.
that. Oh,
Oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Matt.
So go ahead, Zach. No, no, go ahead. I'm gonna change the topic. Or not change the topic. I'm deep diving deeper, but finish what you're gonna say. You said you love
Oh, I
that. Anything else you want to add?
yeah. Well, no, it's let's go with the drug addict for a second. So I've in past service opportunities that I've had, I had the chance to work with people who were addicted to drugs. Some would just, even though you thought from an outside perspective, they're at rock bottom. They're losing their house, they're losing their family, they've lost everything. They just didn't care and they would continue on. And then other people, it seems like there would be a crystallizing moment where they would just shift and get,
Mhm.
like you said, get the counseling, get the help. And I guess I'm just curious, um, are there forces that help people to kind of awaken and have those realizations within themselves? Or what you're saying, it sounds like it's an active choice that people just make the decision. I want to change. I'm going to, start taking those steps.
Well, I think it is both. It's when I say that, it's because,
Internal and external, I guess.
yeah, because for some people, they do have to go where they hit rock bottom. Whatever that scenario they're in that hits rock bottom, that's what's going to make them want to make the change. And but until they hit that point in their life, whatever it is, because there's obviously those different things are going to be different, how they treat people, to what they're consuming, to whatever they're not doing. Those are things they have to get to a point that they're like, okay, I'm done. I've got to make a change, and this is how I'm going to do it. And they can find a program, they can find a person, they can find whatever to help them do it. But it's not until that point that they do it. I mean, an example that I used, I think I said it in my book, and it's a minor little stupid example, but it's something that really affected me, and then I did change it. As I remember growing up playing sports, I've played sports my entire life. From I mean, the earliest age that you can, playing t-ball. I played baseball all the way up until I got to college and everything, and I probably should have played in college, but had an eye-opening moment when I was in high school and I'm playing, and something would go wrong, and I would just get pissed off and then I get enraged and I just it would ruin my play because I just got so infuriated with messing up or not doing something right, or whatever it is I was doing, not fielding right or not batting right, and it would just ruin things. Well, I got to the point like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I've got to turn it around and shake it off and go the other way. So what I would do then, instead of getting mad, I'd start laughing about it. I would laugh about it and joke about it, and I just kept doing that, and then it just went away. That rage turned into laughter, and the whole mindset and how it affected me was different. But I had to get to that point. I'm like, okay, this is messing up my game, and I can't do that anymore. So that, I mean,
So
like I said, stupid example, but it worked.
so it's like changing from I feel anxious to I'm excited,
Hmm.
which are two very similar feelings.
Yeah, it's still a high feeling, but it's just a different type of feeling.
You're like, I'm just going to laugh at it. When I feel angry,
Hmm.
I'm going to laugh.
Yeah, you have to look at it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just looking at it differently.
Yeah.
So Jeremy, I don't want to necessarily open a can of worms. So I'll ask you this and let you kind of decide how you want to answer it. it sounds like you've been thinking about this particular book, the third book, What's Your Story, for a while. What would you say was the catalyst for you deciding this is kind of your attitude? Like, since I've known you, which was college years, right? 21-ish and above, you've always been kind of very energetic, very friendly, very loyal, almost to a fault, maybe. Was there a point in your life where you're like, hey, things aren't going the way I want to? I am in control of my life, or has it always been with you? Does that make sense? Like, is there some sort of like
Yeah, no, totally.
moment in time or catalyst?
Yeah, so I know that you and other people within our faith will understand this a little bit. So my entire life, because and you need to go read my book. You need to read What's Your Story.
It's
No,
in
I
the
do.
mail. I already ordered it on
yeah,
Amazon. It's on
no,
its way.
because once you read it, you'll understand so much more about what the answer I'm going to give you right now
Hmm.
and whatnot. And so,
Well, you're giving us a taste so that people will want to go read the book.
yes,
And
no,
yes,
I'm with you.
I agree.
So the thing is my entire childhood was unstable. Okay. I was born to teenage parents who lasted maybe 6, 7 years. Okay. Once they divorced, my life was constantly changing because I was always moving. We moved and we moved and we moved, which means I was never at a place that I could have constant friends. I was always having to make new friends, new environment, new places, even new states. Um, and then once I got to high school, I stayed in one place for high school, and I always had insecurities. I was always having I never really thought I had, was able to make friends, good friends. I had a hard time. I was always the guy that didn't think I could get girlfriends. I was had a hard time getting girlfriends in high school, stuff like that. Or at least I thought I was. And then I found a group of friends in high school that I came really close with, but I still was insecure about a lot of things. I played sports. I was in the band, um, did a bunch of art clubs and things and whatnot. And I tried to be well-rounded in my friendships. I didn't just have one group of friends I was a part of. I just made friends with anybody and everybody. But I just wasn't feeling confident at all. I was never confident at all until after I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I went on my mission 2 years, got put into forceful environments of having to knock on doors, talk to strangers, get up in front of people, talk in church, do all this stuff. And I gained a sense of confidence of who I am, who I am as a person, who I am as an entity, and where my life was and where I wanted to go. Like I said, our past affects us, but it doesn't define who we are. We can change at any time. And that's what I did. I flipped a switch after my mission. So, Matt, the Jeremy you met was way different than the person I was before.
Interesting. I will say that Jeremy is probably one of the friendliest guys you'll meet. So I'm not surprised that you made friends with everybody, regardless of your insecurities and stuff. So that's anyway, it's very cool to hear. Um, I don't know what to ask, Zach. What questions do you have?
Well, I'm kind of curious. So when you're going through the book writing process, we were talking about this a little bit before we started
Mhm.
recording. As an author, the thought for me of writing a book is terrifying. Uh, if you I don't know if you have like a goal in mind. This book's going to be 80 pages, 100 pages, 300 pages, 500 pages, and starting that process, laying it out. I mean, it's a major undertaking and project. Maybe tell us a little bit about how you started because you're like 3 books in now.
Yeah.
So you might write 10 more. I don't know. Tell us about what is that process like? Just like the motivation to do it.
Okay.
How did you do it? And do you feel like each book you've gotten better at writing, or maybe just walk us through
Okay.
what your techniques are and what that process is?
So, my inspiration to write was basically comes down to wanting to help other people better themselves, better their life, better their situation. I've always kind of been someone who wants to help other people any way I can because I don't have the ability to financially help people or to do things on a, on a bigger scale. But if I can help you with advice or with service or something like that, that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's kind of what's driven me to do some of these other side jobs, part-time jobs, or everything I've done in the past, um, because I'm wanting to help people. And and when I say that, I've done stuff like I was a nutrition coach. As Matt said, I was in the fire department. Um, and I've done the services through my community and other things. Like even right now, I'm a part of a emergency medical response team. Not paid, not nothing's volunteer, and it's for the community. I just want to help people where I can, and so that's how my books got inspired. Is if I can give back just by helping better people in their relationships, maybe that will help better the community, and then maybe help better the world. Because if people are treating each other better, how can that not rub off on other people?
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, like you see the stickers out there, be the good.
Yep. Yep.
If you can be the good, if you can do good things, or what's that there's that one campaign about pass it on kind of thing. What is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Like paying it forward.
Paying it forward. Thank you. Like
Yep.
that. It's the same type of concept of moving forward with doing something good. So that's how doing my books came about. And just to circle back to my last book, What's Your Story? What I wanted to do with this, how I wanted to format it, I actually wanted to have 3 points of view. I wanted viewpoints from myself, viewpoints from my sister, and viewpoints from one of my brothers. And the reason why is because even though we all grew up in the same house, we had
Mm,
totally different experiences.
interesting.
And so because I couldn't get their input in my book, I like waited and waited and waited, and they never gave me anything. I'm like, all right, I'm just going forward. I'm just gonna do it. And so but that's how that book was going to initially come about. It was like, hey, let's talk about what we all experienced, and then I can use that as examples of, showing other people that it doesn't matter what, because like I said, your environment's one thing, but how you navigate through that environment only dictates how you're going to go forward. So when writing my books, I got the concept, the idea of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, why I wanted to do it. Because it's back to that everything else. You have to have a why. If you don't have a why, it's that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I created my why, created my idea of design, a message, what I want to do. So then I had to go in and I created an outline. Like anything that you're going to write, you have to create an outline of all these topics, points that you want to cover, what you want to cover, and you just rework your outline in order of how you want it to flow, how you want it to follow, where you're going to put things in at. And then I just started the once you sit down and you kind of just start either writing it out or typing it out, if your thoughts are intense, you're just going to go. You just start typing away. And I mean, it just, mine were just flowing and I got it all out. And, but back to what you're saying about creating how big of a book you want. I knew from the beginning I wanted to do a small book, something around 100 pages because of who my audience was. And my
Hmm.
audience for Treat Her Right obviously I was focused on. I mean, I literally had my blinders on like a horse. Like, this is for men. I'm helping guys trying
10
to have a good
pages.
relationship.
One
That's all we
one
can.
page. One
Yeah.
page, Jeremy.
Well, no,
That's how many pages you
You
get.
just read the title and you're good. Treat her
good.
right, you're done.
Treat her right.
Take care of the small things, take out the
Small thing.
trash. The
Yeah,
end.
seriously. So that's what it was. And I'm like, so I was focusing on that. So my first book literally is only 76 pages. I didn't
Some
even
of
get to 100.
sometimes those are the best books.
Yeah. But
Like
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Richest Man in Babylon. I've got like 10 of those books that are super small but full of wisdom.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, this is meat and potatoes, no fluff. I'm just right to the point with these
Yeah.
books. And so the way I formatted it, so I wanted to be short. And then I made it I had chapters in it, obviously, but within my chapters, I have segments. So when you get my book and you'll see I'll have segments within the chapters, it's like anywhere between 2 to 4 segments in a chapter. So you can stop after reading a segment. So the joke was you can read my book on the toilet because you just read a small segment, put it down until you come back to the bathroom again, then you pick it back up and read it.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, that's what guys do. Come on. So
Yep.
that was kind of the, tongue in cheek idea of putting that formatting that book that way. So yeah, so we created that, and then you go through your first draft and you read it. So what I would do is I would do my first draft, I would read it, I go change some things, then I'd give it to my wife. She would read it and she'd be like, "Oh, you can't put that in there, or you got to change it, or you got to change the wording, or whatever it is that you're doing." So then I would do that again, and then I would turn around and then I would send it to my editor. And my editor then goes through it, makes all his corrections and whatnot, sends it back, and then I have to go through all the corrections and things. And depending on how tedious you want to make it, you can go back and forth with your editor or not, or you can just bite the bullet and do it and okay, we're done.
And
And
how do you procure? This might be a dumb question, but how do you procure or select or find an editor? Is this someone that you pay? Like there's
yes,
professional editors, you
yes.
write them a check and they are going to go through and
So you have three type of editors out there. You have editors that will pretty much solicit to do it for free because they're up and coming and they want to become an editor or whatnot. And the people
okay.
maybe that's in school and that's kind of what they, I had people solicit me for that. I'm like, "Ah, no, I don't want to do that
That just
because I,
sounds like the worst job in the world to me, editing
yeah,
a
well,
book.
yeah, there's people that just dig
But
it.
they love
So
it. Okay.
yeah, then you can go through your publisher. Your publisher is always going to have editors in their house. So no matter who you go with as a publishing agency, you can pay them to do it. And then what I did is I went through, I was actually introduced to my editor because I went to school with his wife. And actually, so I think I was soliciting, say, hey, anybody know anybody I can look for editors and talk to editors? She's like, oh, my husband does that. And he's at his
Oh,
PhD, blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. But great. Let me in contact and we'll talk about it. And so that's how I acquired him. And he was actually, I don't know if he'd give me a discount because I am friends with his wife or whatnot, but he's on the East Coast, and we're over here. So just, but I'm like, sweet, I'll take a discount, because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Any of your stuff that they do, formatting, editing, illustrating, all that stuff's not cheap. So I'm like, I'll take whatever I can. So then you go through that process, and then after you get all your edits done and you finish all your writing, then you have to go to formatting. And formatting is how you take the page, the writing off your page and put into book format, the style that a book is. So then you have to do that. And then once you get the formatting done, then you have to get your cover artwork done. And then you take all that and you submit it to your publisher, and then they will put it all together for you.
And for those listening, you should check out the covers of Jeremy's books. Like they're one of them's a little spicy. It's a little spicy. I hope
And
that's your
I
wife that you're kissing.
and just so you know, and you and I talked about this a little bit. I did it independently. I went through
Yeah.
an independent publishing house where you can actually have them do everything for you, all the services, or they can do a la carte.
mhm.
And I chose for them to do a la carte. So all they do for me is they publish and they produce and they publish. And well, they distribute as well, but they do it's called POD, which is print on demand. So
Mhm.
you can find my book on any online um, outlet in the world. You just don't find them in stores. And that's I go hide them in the stores. No, I actually have a couple. I do have a couple books. Sorry, a couple bookstores here locally that I'm actually have my books in,
Oh,
and
cool.
you can find them there. Eborn Books. So any and Newton, Layton Hills Mall and Southtown Mall both have them in their stores. But you can go onto my website, you can go on my publisher's website, or you can go on any of your favorite online bookstore, be that it's Barnes and Noble, Amazon,
Yeah.
whoever. I had someone send me a website they found my books on. It was an Australian bookstore. So I
No way.
was like,
Wow.
sweet, yeah, yeah.
What
So that's
advice would you give to someone who's wants to write a book? They've been thinking about it for a long time. What's the advice you'd give to them?
that's a good one. Um,
Doesn't have to be comprehensive, just like what's the one thing you wish you had known before you started writing these three books?
okay, what I wish I would have known was how the publishing industry actually works.
Okay.
So working with different tiers of publishers is going to give you and cost you different things. Like I was telling Zach before we came on, I chose to go independent because when I started reaching out to the large publishing houses, there was a lot more than what I actually knew was required. So when you get into a large publishing house, they want to control everything. So you're going to be the writer, but they're going to change whatever they want to change. They're going to
Mm,
change your cover art. They're going to change all the verbiage inside. They're going to
mm,
change. I mean, if they don't like it or they want a different format or a different feel or a different style, they're going to dictate that, and then they're going to probably obviously dictate or negotiate the pricing. They're going to tell you if you're going to do, paperback, hardback, um, ebooks, or books on
yeah.
tape kind of thing, and then they're going to dictate all of the marketing. Well, when you work with them, I found out that they don't pay you. You have to pay them to get started. And to
Mhm,
pay them, you have to go anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 or more just to get your book started and put out there into the bookstores.
mhm.
I'm like, well, I don't have 15,000, let alone $5,000 to give you for me
Yeah.
just to put something out to help people. I'm not trying to be a world-renowned author and make money and make this be my goal. Now, if that's your goal, then yeah, research the companies, research what you want, what they're going to do for you, what they won't do for you, and go from there to decide which avenue that you're going to publish your book. Because for me, I just wanted to go more the grassroots way and share my story, share my thoughts, and get it out to people, and then have them, get the books in any which way they can. And so that's why we went the route I went.
Okay, so I
That's
changed the
awesome.
question on you, and now that I have a burning question about what should I want to write a book? Let's just say I want to write a book. You got I guarantee there's somebody listening right now. Zach might be one of them. That's like I got
I
this
think it is
something
Zach.
inside me. What? How do I get started? What do you do?
You put pen to paper. That's what you do. If you don't put pen to paper, you have nothing. You have to start writing because when you have to have a manuscript to submit to the publishing houses or to the headhunters or whoever it is that's looking for these. Because if you're not you don't have anything on paper, you have nothing to give or show anybody. So
Do you have to copyright the work before you send it to a publishing house?
no, no,
No. Do they copyright it or does it matter? I mean, at some point it gets copyrighted.
no.
No. Okay.
Mine's not copyrighted. I haven't got mine copyrighted. I should. I haven't. I'm like, if you
Okay.
want to steal my crap, that's on you.
Let go for it.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, because like I said, I'm not doing this big worldwide
Yeah.
thing of
Yeah.
I'm not these big authors. I'm not, Stephen King and Daniel Steele and all these guys.
Not yet.
If
Not
that's your
yet.
jam, then that's on you. But yeah, no. So you can get copyright stuff done. Like for me, okay, go back into all the things you have to do for a book. I've done, like I told you, I did everything but those two things where where they publish and they distribute. That's what my publisher does for me. I've obviously written my own book. I got my own editor. I got someone to format for me. I designed all my own cover art. I purchased my own ISBN numbers, and
Hmm.
then yeah, like I said, then I just turn that over to them, and they just publish it and distribute it. But
Cool.
yeah, you go to someone at a publishing house, they're going to have you pay to do all of that.
So
So do
it's
you find it once you get going, do you find it kind of an addictive process where you want to continue to write, or do you think in these three works that you've done that you've expressed all that needs to be expressed? Do you feel like I'm finished? There's no more. All of my wisdom is encapsulated in those three books, or is
I'm
there more to
spent.
come?
So I will tell you, I was totally lit when I was doing my first one. It was like, oh my gosh, it was awesome. I was like just burning and writing and writing. And I was like, I was digging it, just getting into it and just going. And then I was like, dude, I got more. I need to share more. I
Okay.
just didn't get it. I didn't get it all in the first book because I wanted to keep it small. So like, all right, I got to do more. So then, yeah, my second one, I was burning to write that one. So I was just writing and writing and writing. It was awesome. This is awesome, and that's how it got bigger. So it wasn't the 76 pages. It was 132 pages, and it's because I just had so much more to give out there. And then I'm like, maybe I should do that book I've always talked about. Okay, we'll do that. And so then but the problem is with the third book, I got into it and I was jamming. And I'm like, oh, this is getting monotonous. Oh my
This
gosh, I
is
got to do
work.
this. This is
Yeah.
this. And then it became work. It really did. Like, all right, I get this done so I can send it to the editor. Okay.
Do you think that
And then
everybody should try to write a book, or is it something that you feel like you're called to do?
I don't think you're necessarily called to do it. I think it's more of a labor of love or passion.
Okay.
And like I said, my the style of my book, like I was telling you, is like I'm having a conversation with you. It's not any format that you normally going to read. It's not like a standard book. It's not a because I wanted it not to be clinical. I didn't want to be like me telling you what to do and having it be like a medical journal or be like a how-to book or anything like that. I'm just like having a conversation. So when you read my book, basically put it this way, Matt has known me enough and talked to me enough that he reads my books. He's like, oh, this is totally Jeremy talking to me. He's not
Yeah.
going to read it like Jeremy, the author, and he's talking in a certain, he's writing in a certain way. He's like, no, this is Jeremy just talking to me.
Mhm.
And so I've actually had my friends and family say, yeah, I could totally see it and feel it that we were just having a conversation and not just me having it in a clinical way of writing it out.
So do you have an idea? Is there a fourth book that you're thinking about and considering? Or is this is that should we not know? Do we not need to know this information yet?
That was not a no. That was a pause.
That was
No,
a
it's
maybe. That's a maybe.
there's kind of one that's lingering there. It's not really. I've kind of said I'm kind of done just because that third one just kind
It's
of
tough.
burnt me, and I don't know if it's because it got so emotional
I was
when
wondering if it was
reading.
the topic
Writing.
maybe was really
The topic was
your
hard.
topic. It's you talking about it just was enough for me to know that like that's got to be an emotional book to write
Yeah,
and to read.
I'm not even gonna lie. That actually, can you know how you suppress memories? Oh, that opened the floodgates on some stuff. And
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
and what happened was I actually my entire life I was doing the math wrong on when my parents divorced. I actually lost 2 years in my parents. I've always said my parents were married for 9 years, and it was really like 7. And so my timeline was off, and I'm going, I was actually way younger. They didn't really last as long as I thought they did. And oh my God, and then there's other experiences that happened in my life that I had totally blocked out because they were in such negative things that happened to me. And I actually wrote about them like in very distinct detail. And my wife's like, oh, you cannot put that in your book. That is way too graphic. I'm like, but babe, I want them to feel it. I want them to, because they're feeling it. I want them to feel it. She's like, no, you cannot put that in the book.
Well,
And so I actually had to
that's the
come
one
back.
I've ordered. That's the one I'm gonna read. I'm excited.
Yeah. So you can tell by what I'm telling you that the edits in there when you read it, you're like, oh yeah, that was the part she edited. Because seriously, I did. I want people to feel because I know that people have gone through the same thing as I have, if not worse. And I wanted them to feel it because I want people to realize that a lot of us are a lot more alike than we think they are, we portray. Like, oh, you're different. You don't know me. We have these walls and these masks that we put up and we wear because we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to be like, oh, we want to be unique. We want to be different. We don't want people to know our faults and our failures and the things that
Hmm.
happen to us because they're going to judge us according to what we experienced in our life rather than, you know what? Let's celebrate that we survived. Let's celebrate that we overcame it. Let's celebrate that we're better now than we were then. And that's back to my point of yes, the past affects us, but it doesn't define who we are. It doesn't define who we're going to be. We are who we are now, and we're going to be someone different in the future. And it's because of the choices we make, who we want to be, and where we want to be in our life.
That's great
Awesome.
advice.
Awesome. All right. I think that that wraps it up before we get a little too personal here, I guess. But it is good. I think I will say this, there's a lot of guys out there that just go play golf together and, don't have deep conversations. And that's one of the things I kind of like about this podcast is that, we're just trying to have some conversations with each other and probably do need more women on the podcast. But like it's nice to have guys be able to express some emotion and share their challenges with each other and kind of give some good ways to overcome things and try to improve our lives. That's what we're here to try to do. So what do you have to add to that, Zach and Jeremy?
I'm excited to read these. We before we started recording, I was telling Jeremy that we really don't cover fiction books on this podcast. So right away, starting this, we knew we're going to alienate like 90% of people that read. But the 10% that do listen are usually people that are into self-help, they're into leadership, they're into finance, they're into business, they're into history. They are really trying to find mental models to improve their lives. Like when I read Benjamin Franklin's biography, I'm reading it to pull things from his life that I can internalize and make part of my mental, let's call it DNA. I feel like every book I read, there's a little bit of wisdom, there's something that I pull from it that then becomes, part of my software, if we want to call it that. And so we haven't really gotten into the relationship stuff, and I'm
Mm.
kind of excited that to release this episode that people can start thinking about the relationships. And I love your advice with your wife or in your marriage or with your husband to focus on the small things because how much my wife does that I don't appreciate, that I don't think about, you just take for granted. And it's tough work being married to me, I'm sure. So I love that advice. I think it's fantastic that you've been able to model that out and put it in writing for us. So thank you,
Yeah,
Jeremy.
and I'll finish on piggybacking on that. We talk about having successful relationships, and the one thing that people we forget about, and it gets touched upon, is that we have to love ourselves and we have to care about ourselves first. Because if we can't love ourselves, no one else can. And so, if we're going to change, we want others to change, or we need to change. We got to focus on that. But it does come back to the little things. It's always about the little things. And I would challenge both of you right now to look at what the little things are that your wives are doing, and then look at the little things that you're doing. Even if you write them down, say, my wife did this and this and this and this and this,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm doing nothing. you know that not seriously, it's going to
Yeah.
put it into perspective. It's like, so when I was being a nutrition coach, one way we help people change their diet is like, okay, I want you to write out for a week every single thing you put in your mouth. You write it all out, and then you go back and review it. What did you eat? Why do you feel like crap? Why are you gaining weight? Why are you bloated? Why are you retaining water? Well, I mean, whatever it is, you can look at these things that you did or didn't do in your daily routine, and then you can make a change.
Yeah.
That's the same thing I'm asking you guys to do, is that you need to do that. The other thing I would say to do is, it's back it's back to the golden rule. We need to treat others the way we want others to treat us. And it's like, so if you want your wife to be a certain way to you, you need to be a certain way back to your wife. She's not going to reciprocate if you're not putting it out there. And that goes for both of us. Your wife wants something from you, she needs to do it, and you can reciprocate, and then you need to do it so she can reciprocate. But if neither one of
Yeah.
you are doing it, no one's reciprocating nothing.
Yeah. And there's this great book called Influence. I don't know if you've read it or not by Robert Cialdini. Highly recommend it. But he talks about the law of reciprocation with humans, what you just talked about,
Mhm.
to kind of pay it forward first. And
Yeah.
you'd be amazed at how many people want to pay it back.
Oh, yeah. That's like serving people. You get so much more when you serve people than when you just take.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I've been trying to take for a long time, and it feels emptiness inside. All right. Thanks for coming on, Jeremy. It's really good to catch up with you. We definitely need to go hang out, go do some lunch or something. Thanks everyone
You
for listening
mentioned
to the
golfing. Let's
podcast.
golf.
Oh man, I play pickleball now. I switched old sports from golf to pickleball.
Hey, Matt,
Yes,
before Jeremy leaves us, Jeremy,
yes.
could you give us a handoff
Oh yeah, yeah.
on
Sorry, we need to do some promotion.
where where
Yeah, where are
where
we
can
finding him?
people
Sorry.
find your books, find your Instagram, give us like the best place
Okay.
that people can find your resources. We'd love to
So
promote your books.
social media, you can find me on Instagram at, I believe it's Jeremy.zon, because someone else already had Jeremy's on for some reason.
ZON.
Zon. Yep. Jeremy.zon. You can find me on Instagram, and then you can also find me on Facebook. Jeremy's on as well. That's just regular Jeremy's on. And then you can find me on my website at jeremyzon.com. And on my website, you can find all of my books. You can find, I actually did a blog on there. So there's a bunch of
Cool.
blog entries on different topics that we spoke about, relationships, what's your story, type of blog, inserts. And then also for those people that want a little bit of the Halloween, you go to the bottom of my page and I have my Reaper's Touch stuff on there too. So you can have a little bit of Halloween. I got to add my Krampus outfit on there now. He's
That's
not
a
on
That's
there.
great.
awesome.
I love that name, Reaper's Touch. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeremy, again, true Renaissance man, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Again, I would probably say loyal to a fault. This guy will be your friend no matter what you do wrong. Seriously, great guy. So thanks for listening to the podcast, everybody. Please like, subscribe, go see Jeremy's social media, hit him up, go read some of his stuff, and we're gonna definitely make Zach pitch his books to me. I also have ordered the What's Your Story book. And again, I've read the first one, but anyway, we're excited. Thanks for liking, subscribing, all that fun stuff. If you want to be a guest, let us know. We're happy to have you on. You can see how easy we are at interviewing and how likable and gregarious we are. Thanks to Deja Vega for letting us use their music. We'll catch you next time on the Pitch Book Podcast. Stone, clocks that